Yeah.
Mhm.
Vegas is too much, and they decided to drop more Andretti GM news on us. And we promised everyone in the Yellow Sector Notes last week that we would talk about it in this week's episode. And the reason we paused on talking about it is because it did feel like there was a good chance if the Andretti team was going to get approved by Formula One management, it felt like this was the weekend to announce it. So we wanted to hold our breath, make it through Vegas GP week, see if there was actually more news to this before we talked about everything like GM, engine supplier, yada, yada, yada. But let me give everyone listening and myself a quick recap that I outlined because my brain hurts because of Vegas and they decided to give us this news on top of it. So, a quick reminder the FIA has approved Andretti's bid to become a team for the 2025 F1 season. Yes, that is very soon from now for a team that has never done any F1 racing before, and they have to build up an entire engineering department and blah, 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 all the things. Their bid was a joint bid with GM's brand Cadillac as a title sponsor. This is the last we've heard from GM or Cadillac in any official capacity was the announcement of this sponsorship deal. F1 doesn't want to approve this bid. If the FIA have announced they have approved it, F1's like, we're looking it over. And it doesn't seem like they're budging anytime soon. And the only quotes we've gotten recently is that they're looking at avenues for GM to join, but they don't necessarily care about a 10th team. GM spokesperson said they only want to join with Andretti, which is really the only time we've heard from anyone at GM. And then we got the news last Wednesday or Thursday that the FIA has approved an engine submission GM has made where they're upgrading their sponsorship Andretti to a full-on engine deal, but for 2028. So 3 years after Andretti would enter as a Alpine customer team in 2025. The FIA have approved this engine submission and they do not need any approval or notice or anything from Formula One management, which are the people they are trying to win over and get to approve the Andretti team without. So basically, the FIA have done another thing that they don't need F1's approval for in hopes of getting F1's approval. I hope that recap was less frazzled out loud than it was in my brain because, again, we didn't even attend the Vegas GP weekend and my brain is like mush. So, why did FIA and Andretti take this new angle? And my options are this is something F1 is asking for. Like F1 keeps saying that they will only approve Andretti if they provide value. So maybe a way the FIA and Andretti are trying to show and prove value is like, look, GM is actually going to become an engine manufacturer, which is something will that will provide value. Having another engine manufacturer will provide value. Um, they also could just be doing it because it's another way for the FIA to do something without F1. They can just say, hey, we did something. So, Nicole, apologies for the frantic introduction that took way too long. Why do you think this even happened? Like, why do you think we got here?
Everything I think is just a poke of like F1. Look now, look at this. Look at this offer. Can you look at this? So I think it's a combination of the FIA being like, well, we could do this, but also look we're enhancing the package for you.
Right.
I'm still in the place where F1 is like, no, we don't want this. And, including GM as an engine supplier later on in the future is a way that some may see it being like a more lucrative deal, and F1 could be like, yay, engine supplier. I still think they're mostly in the place of like, no, please leave us alone. Leave us alone. No one asked you for this. But instead they were like, America, here's an announcement. Like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I'm with you because I'm still so skeptical about this engine deal even being real because well, 2028 is a really far way away. And actually, like if GM is going to make a complete 180 and go from we're going to title sponsor you to we're going to make an engine that we've never made before, that will take a long time. But why haven't we heard from GM announcing this? Like it all goes back to me like Ford is essentially sponsoring Red Bull's engine. And we got some of the biggest, most exciting announcements. Ford keeps making content about them joining F1 in 2026. It's like you can tell that there is corporate investment because they're backing it with their marketing and PR messaging. Like nothing that's happening on the GM side, no matter what new news we get around it, feels like it's actually coming from GM or Cadillac. So I'm skeptical of the whole thing. Like the whole thing feels like the FIA and Andretti being like, could you just submit something for 2028? And like, you don't actually have to hold true to it by the time that comes. We're just trying to get on the grid, and then being like, yeah, sure, whatever, like go do your thing. Like, whole thing makes me really skeptical. I think it is a positive sign that it seems like the FIA and Andretti are trying to do things to make them cave. Like it seems like
Cave in
they're
a way
giving
that's
into
like lucrative. Yeah, like the way that would cause them to cave. Like last time, it just seemed like, well, we're going to announce that they're approved. It's like, okay, well, now they're announcing at least like and things that could be better to the sport. Like having another engine manufacturer could maybe be better. It's not just like here's another team, but still have a lot of concerns elsewhere.
It all goes back in my brain to why did the Andrettis think it was a good idea to shit talk everyone in F1 for about 18 months and now is confused when they won't get approval? Like the whole thing, this whole debacle feels confusing for my brain. And this engine announcement that doesn't come with an announcement from the giant, massive brand and company that would be investing like $500 million in building this engine, it just feels like another layer of weirdness on an already like weird, convoluted, like very Formula One story.
And it's definitely far from over. But you know that I think Andretti just needed to be part of the Vegas narrative a little bit. Thank you for listening to this highlight from episode 44 of Gridwalk. Don't forget to like and subscribe for a ton more F1 videos. Also, you made it this far in this video. Just like go watch the rest of the podcast. This episode's really great and like some of our best. So click here to watch the full thing. Ready? Come with me. Click, 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 click.